how did he become one? Well, the Toronto Maple Leafs, well, give me a sec. No. Well, let's just say the Toronto Maple Leafs, here, maybe I should demonstrate. Hey, so this is the Leafs wall, and this is Mitch Marner. So, just gonna go ahead and... He's not a Leaf anymore. And I'm gonna annoyingly leave that space blank for the whole video, and you're just gonna have to deal with it just to really drive the point home. But I'm gonna fix Austin first. There. Nope. There. Nope. There. They did it. They've finally done it. Well, actually, at the time I'm shooting this, it's not even officially official. In fact, at the time I am shooting this, Mitch Marner and his 8-year contract extension actually has the Leafs well over the salary cap. But that is not what has happened. The Toronto Maple Leafs have signed Mitch Marner to an 8-year contract extension, paying him $12 million per year. That is a total of $96 million to go on top of Mitch Marner's entry-level deal with the Leafs and his $65 million second contract with the Leafs. The guy's made bank. Now, the reason that contract has technically been signed with the Leafs is because the Leafs are the only team that can give Mitch Marner an 8-year contract. A lot of you know this, some of you don't. Your team, the team that you're on right now, can sign you to an 8-year deal. That's going to go away in the next collective bargaining agreement, but for now, it is still a thing. So the team you're on can re-sign you to an 8-year contract. Any other team in free agency, they can only sign you to a 7-year contract maximum. So tomorrow, Mitch Marner could have signed a 7-year deal with Vegas. But you know what's smaller than 8 is 7. Is that a big deal? Yeah. Mitch Marner is getting $96 million out of this deal. What if it was only a 7-year deal? Well, he would simply take less money. What, do you want to take less money? No, of course not. So you ask for $96 million over 7. Well, now, instead of a $12 million cap hit, it balloons all the way up to 13.7. So this 8th year is a massive deal for the Vegas Golden Knights, because that is where Mitch Marner is going to play with this contract. He's not going to play with the Leafs. He's gone. Right now, the best we have is from Bob McKenzie, who has come out of his long slumber at the Cottage, pending trade call being completed. As was previously reported and speculated, assuming it goes through, it will be Nick Waugh to Toronto and signed Mitch Marner to Vegas. The trade is, I believe, 1-for-1. So a few things to take away there that are important. The trade is not done. Technically, Mitch Marner is on an 8-year contract, $12 million cap hit with the Leafs. Also, the trade being 1-for-1 means Mitch Marner's rights were traded for Nicolas Roy, but Bob says he believes. I believe is a lot different than this is definitely happening. Now, it is Bob McKenzie who doesn't just throw around I believe, but it is possible that this deal is bigger. It is possible it is smaller. It is, all sorts of things are possible. But semantics aside, when the dust settles here, Mitch Marner will be a Vegas Golden Knight. There will be no huge arrangements of meetings and courtings from other teams. He's going straight to Vegas. Vegas, who are in their own unique cap hell, and that is part of the reason why they are parting ways with Nick Hague yesterday, and now Nicolas Roy. Who do they get? They get one of the most prolific scoring Toronto Maple Leafs of all time. During the regular season, that is. And that really is the beginning, middle, and end of this story. And by that, I mean LOL, LMAO. I'm going to say thousands more words about this, and probably with an era-wasted video at some point, just not today. After being drafted 4th overall in 2015, Mitch Marner has played all 657 career regular season games of his career with the Toronto Maple Leafs. 221 goals, 520 assists. That is 741 points. This past season, he just broke his career high with his first 100-point season, 102 points in 81 games. A feat made more impressive by the fact that Austin Matthews missed significant time this season and was not playing at 100%, and it is very difficult to put up assists with one of the world's greatest goal scorers when he is not doing nearly as much goal scoring. Austin Matthews scored 69 goals, which was pretty nice a couple years ago. This past season, he scored 33. Dude, that is less than half. That is 36 fewer goals. And yet, Marner had 17 more points and 16 more assists. Granted, in more games than the season before. He only played 69 last year. In the Stanley Cup playoffs, Mitch Marner has played 70 career Stanley Cup playoff games, all with the Leafs. 13 goals, 50 assists, 63 points. Now, that is not as much as his regular season totals, but my goodness, that is formidable. And that is what everyone points out when it comes to Mitch when they're intentionally being obtuse and missing the point. They say, but look at his playoff totals, and you say, but look at his playoff totals in games 5, 6, and 7. They pause, blink, and say, but look at his playoff totals. But look at it! You know what? There are a lot of reasons why Mitch Marner kind of became the poster boy for playoff failure in this city. Some of them extraordinarily valid reasons, and others not really all that fair. Marner wears a lot of blame for things that are Kyle Dubas and more specifically Brendan Shanahan's fault. Dubas and all the contracts of the core four, we could talk about that for a long time, and I plan to. But here is the series of events that led to where we are today. In 2019, Mitch Marner signs a 6-year contract extension with the Leafs. That takes you to 2025. Now, what is important about that? In 2023, July 1st to be specific, Marner has a full no-move clause kick in. Before that, nothing. After that, full no-move. If he don't want to go, he's not going. In May of 2023, after losing in the second round in 5 games to the Florida Panthers, Kyle Dubas does a press conference that had a lot of insane moments that ended up leading to him being fired. But during that press conference, he mentioned, you know what? Maybe I'm going to move off the core four. Maybe someone's going to get traded. And everyone's like, he's definitely talking about Mitch. Hours later, Brendan Shanahan fires him and hires Brad Treliving. Brad Treliving just got here. And even if he had said, hey, I think we should trade Mitch Marner right away, who knows if that is what Brendan Shanahan would have wanted. We'll never know. Or maybe we will. We don't know now. June 29th, June 30th, July 1st. It kicked in. His full no-move kicked in. And you know what that means? Austin Matthews is locked up. John Tavares is locked up. Mitch Marner is locked up now. Wait a minute. William Nylander, he doesn't have a contract. He's got 1 year left. And, oh my goodness, and no trade protection, I'm pretty sure. He starts the season in 23-24, red hot. The Leafs decide we cannot fathom life without this person. They sign him to an 8-year, $11.5 million deal with a full no move. And now each and every member of the core four is locked up to $11 kerbillion full no move clauses across the board. If none of the core four want to go, they're not gonna go. Oh, a lot of times in hockey, you could just get traded anywhere. It's a no move is more to just say, hey, trade me to this team. Yeah, that's true. Hey, you know what's crazy? Sometimes no move clauses are no move clauses! You insane clownish maniacs! So summer of 2024, the Leafs explore trading Mitch Marner to the Vegas Golden Knights, and it doesn't happen. Who knows how many other times Mitch Marner was approached to be traded, and he said no. And it's hard to even blame him. He negotiated for a full no-move clause, and you had 4 years to prepare for it kicking in! And then it kicks in. This trade deadline rolls around, and there is the potential of a 3-way deal between the Leafs and the Hurricanes and the Vegas Golden Knights. Again, Mitch Marner ends up on the Vegas Golden Knights. Leafs could have got Rantanen.
Marner wasn't going to wait for the Hurricanes. I believe there were conversations at that time where he said he would wait for the Golden Knights if a 3-way trade could be worked out. Now, that couldn't be done because Vegas wasn't able to satisfy the parts of the deal to make it make sense for Carolina. But at the time, it would have been Rantanen come to Toronto, Marner to Vegas, and then stuff goes to Carolina. The stuff wasn't figured out in a way that made sense.
But Carolina couldn't get satisfactory compensation out of it, and I understand. And a guy who negotiated in good faith for a no-move clause is a family man. He has a wife. His wife is very pregnant. She's about to give birth. That's what very pregnant means. Would you have uprooted your life at that very moment and gone to another country and another place altogether? I know my answer. No. So he doesn't go. And that leads us to the last month or so where it becomes very, very, very extremely obvious Mitch Marner is not going to be extended by the Leafs and will not extend with the Leafs. It's a two-way street, and it sounds like both parties were happy to walk on opposite sides. Now, within the last few days, we got the extra spicy element of maybe the Vegas Golden Knights tampered with Mitch Marner, as Elliot Friedman suggested may have been the case on an episode of 32 Thoughts. The thought around the league, according to Friedge, was that teams were saying that the Leafs were going to trade Mitch Marner to Vegas, and if Vegas didn't play ball with them, they were going to go after them for tampering. Tampering can get you fined draft picks. Tampering can get you fined millions of dollars. Tampering could strip an agent of their NHLPA certification. Tampering could have sanctions come down on the individual player. It depends on what happened. To say that it is extraordinarily serious would be an understatement. Some people say that's blackmail. Others say, no, that's just leverage. To that I say, no, that's blackmail. Do this thing or I'll punish you by doing this thing? That's blackmail. I don't know if it's the legal definition of it, I'm not a lawyer, but we all know what it is. Give me all your money is a request. Give me all your money or my friend Gary Bettman is gonna kick your ass is a threat. I don't know, kind of made me feel icky, but also, it's Vegas. Most of the reactions that I saw to this news were like, yeah, that's kind of messed up, but as it's Vegas. And the Leafs get Nicolas Roy out of the whole thing, which is wild considering the Leafs gave up, like, what, a 6th round pick for the negotiating rights to Chris Tanev? The Hurricanes got, what, like a 3rd for the negotiating rights to Jake Gensel? To get a solid roster player for the negotiating rights for a player who's going to be a free agent in literal hours seems like a steep price. Now, you might think, well, it's because of the whole tampering thing. It could just be it's killing two birds with one stone. Vegas gets Mitch Marner on an 8-year contract. That allows you to have Mitch Marner for 8 years. It also gets his cap hit down. $12 million is a lot lower than what some of the numbers that were thrown out over the last few months. Well, how does Vegas afford it? They have so many guys. Well, now they have one fewer guy in Nick Waugh, who is making $3 million per this season and next. Fun fact about Nick Waugh, Leafs Nation, since 2020, Mitch Marner has 8 Stanley Cup playoff goals. Waugh has 10. Now, Mitch Marner has a lot more assists and therefore points. Nick Waugh has a lot more Stanley Cups. 1. He also has more series wins, and if you've watched him, he's just a solid player. Is he fair return for Mitch Marner? No, obviously not. Is he fair return for a player you were about to lose for nothing anyway? Oh, he's a lot more than that. In my wildest dreams, a week ago, I wouldn't have imagined that the Leafs would get a useful roster player, cost-controlled term, for the negotiating rights for Mitch Marner. When was the last time that happened? Has it happened? Ever? Not to mention he's big, so he provides a little beef. Leafs need another center anyway. Maybe Waugh can be third-line center. Maybe Lawton can be third-line center. Maybe they could play on the same line, and Lawton takes the left-handed draws, and Waugh takes the right-handed draws. Actually, that's a pretty good idea. I bet that's what they try. Or it's just Waugh and then Lawton, or Lawton and then Waugh. Here's what it is. Mitch Marner, losing him even for just Nick Waugh sucks. Even though Waugh is a lot more than I thought they would get. But it's spilt milk. We've known for a while. Marner's gone. Tomorrow is July 1st, the busiest day on the schedule, or certainly one of them. Within the last few days, Brad Treliving and his front office have gotten John Tavares at a sweetheart deal. Nye's on a contract that is a reasonable cap hit that buys a UFA year and keeps him as a Leaf for 6 years. They got a Mitch Marner trade done where they actually got a player in return for Mitch Marner. They traded for Matias Michelli, a thing that I almost totally forgot happened until I just said it right now. And they also signed pending unrestricted free agent Steven Lorentz. You do all that work and it makes it easier to do what's next. And what is next? Maybe you re-sign Pontus Holmberg. Maybe you trade him. Maybe you re-sign Nick Robertson. Maybe you trade him. Maybe you trade Calle Yarncroke. Maybe you trade David Kampf. Maybe you trade Max Domi. I don't know, but the world's your oyster. You got all the hard stuff done. Listen, I'm well aware that a lot of you are losing one of your favorite, if not your favorite player. And over the next, I don't even know how long, we're going to have lots of time to talk about that. But if you're Brad Treliving and the rest of the Toronto Maple Leafs staff, all you have is today, followed by tomorrow. You don't have yesterday. You try to make the team that you have better today. After that, you try to make the team that you have better tomorrow. That's all you can do. That's all for now, but this one is big enough that for sure it is to be continued. What do you think of this trade, and what are your thoughts, gestures vaguely in general? Leave a comment in the comment box down below, but for now, that is it for this one. Thank you very much for watching. Click like if you like this video. Click subscribe if you really liked it. Tell all your friends there's an opening.